the floor where they drop like bombs. Faceless voices running all the cons. Digital whispers in the binary night. No light, no face, pure sound, no sight. Stories unfold in the dark unscrolled. Echoes of silence, secrets untold. Waves crash loud in this audio cave. No mic, no fame, just the sound we crave. Tune and turn up, let the silence break. Raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just a vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. In shadows, voices untamed. No need for spotlight, no claim to fame. Just a beat of life in a stream of thought. Every word a punchline, no need to be taught. Just listen close, no visuals needed. Raw conversation, unprocessed, unseated. Feel the pulse in every sentence said. No distractions, just thoughts in your head. Whispers of the streets, rumbling through. Faceless yet vivid, a world in view. No mic, just souls, connecting in flow. Pure and raw, let the rhythm go.
OUT of the hurly-burly of events in time and space, we extract changeless formulas whose chaste abstraction soars above all reference to anywhere or when, and thereby renders them blank checks to be filled up at our pleasure with any figures of the sort. The only question is, will nature honor the check audens natura juvat? Let us take our life in our hands and try. If we fail, our blood will be on our own hands or, more probably, in someone else's stomach, but though we fail, we are in no worse case than those who dared not postulate. Our assumption, therefore, is at least a methodological necessity. It may turn out to be or be near a fundamental fact in nature, an axiom. Ferdinand Canning Scott Schiller. Ferdinand Canning Scott Schiller was a German-British philosopher renowned as a leading proponent of pragmatism in Britain. He called his own philosophy humanism, emphasizing that knowledge and truth are inherently intertwined with human purposes, needs, and actions, rather than being absolute or objective. Schiller vigorously argued against both logical positivism and absolute idealism, particularly engaging in debates with prominent figures like Bertrand Russell and F. H. Bradley. Ferdinand Canning Scott Schiller was born on August 16, 1864, in Schleswig-Holstein, a region that was then under Danish administration but part of the German Confederation. His father was a German merchant with business in British India, and he ensured his three sons received an English education. This provided Schiller with a cosmopolitan upbringing. He attended Rugby School, where he excelled remarkably, achieving a unique feat by winning all four leaving exhibitions in classics, mathematics, natural science, and modern languages. From Rugby, he proceeded to Balliol College, Oxford, where he continued his academic success, earning 2 firsts in classics and the Taylorian Scholarship for German. During this period, his family had settled in a comfortable villa in Switzerland, fostering his lifelong passion for mountaineering. Published in January 1902, Useless Knowledge, a discourse concerning pragmatism, served as a foundational exposition of Schiller's pragmatic principles, particularly his skepticism towards knowledge that lacked practical application or human relevance. He contended that if knowledge could not be integrated into human experience, guide action, or resolve genuine problems, then its truth was questionable, or at least, its value was diminished. This essay was an early and clear statement of his commitment to a philosophy that prioritized the usefulness and efficacy of ideas over their abstract or purely logical coherence, setting him apart from more formalist approaches to philosophy. Axioms as postulates, appearing in the 1902 collection Personal Idealism, marked a significant step in Schiller's development of his unique epistemological stance. In this essay, he directly challenged the traditional view of axioms as self-evident, absolute truths, arguing instead that they function as postulates, initial assumptions or propositions that are adopted because of their utility in organizing experience and constructing coherent systems of knowledge. This idea was central to his pragmatic outlook, suggesting that even the most fundamental principles are not discovered as pre-existing facts but rather chosen and validated by their practical consequences and their ability to serve human cognitive needs. His seminal work, Humanism, initially published in 1903 and later reissued in a second edition in 1912, encapsulated the core tenets of his philosophical system. In this book, Schiller fully developed his humanist alternative to both absolute idealism and logical positivism, asserting that knowledge and truth are inextricably linked to human purposes, needs, and actions. He argued that there is no absolute, objective truth independent of human experience, rather, truth is a product of human construction, verified by its practical utility and its ability to serve human ends. This work firmly established him as a leading voice in British pragmatism, emphasizing the active and creative role of the human mind in shaping reality. In The Ethical Basis of Metaphysics, published in July 1903, Schiller delved into the moral and value-laden underpinnings of our metaphysical assumptions, suggesting that our understanding of reality is not purely intellectual or detached, but is deeply influenced by our ethical concerns and choices. He contended that the way we conceive of the fundamental nature of existence is often implicitly shaped by our moral commitments and practical needs. This essay further reinforced his humanist perspective, which consistently sought to connect abstract philosophical concepts to concrete human experience and values, demonstrating the pervasive influence of human interests on even the most abstract philosophical inquiries. After his initial Oxford studies, Schiller briefly taught German at Eton before returning to Oxford to pursue his master's degree. In 1893, he took a position as an instructor in logic and metaphysics at Cornell University in the United States, where he also undertook postgraduate work. Although he didn't complete a PhD at Cornell, he eventually received a Doctor of Science from Oxford in 1906, after returning to Corpus Christi College, Oxford, in 1897, where he served as assistant tutor, senior tutor, and fellow for over 3 decades. In Riddles of the Sphinx, first published in 1891 and later revised in 1910, Schiller presented an early articulation of his philosophical inclinations, already hinting at the themes that would come to define his humanist pragmatism. This work explored fundamental philosophical questions, likely challenging conventional wisdom and setting the stage for his more direct engagement with the nature of knowledge and reality as shaped by human experience and purpose. The very title suggests an inquiry into profound mysteries, which Schiller would consistently approach from a perspective that prioritized human understanding and values over abstract, disembodied truths. Ferdinand Canning Scott Schiller, a prominent figure in British pragmatism and a self-proclaimed humanist, continued to shape philosophical discourse significantly after 1907 until his death in 1937. This period saw him solidify his unique brand of pragmatism, which he often preferred to call humanism, characterized by its unwavering focus on the human element in the construction of knowledge and truth. His work during these decades was largely an elaboration and defense of this perspective, often in spirited opposition to the dominant philosophical schools of his time. One of his immediate follow-ups to his 1903 work Humanism, Philosophical Essays was Studies in Humanism, published in 1907, which further explored the implications of his philosophy. This was swiftly followed by Plato or Protagoras in 1908, a title that encapsulated his core belief in the Protagorean dictum that man is the measure of all things, contrasting it sharply with Platonic idealism. Schiller believed that truth wasn't a pre-existing, absolute entity waiting to be discovered, but rather something made and validated by human experience and purpose. A major focus of his later work was a sustained critique of traditional formal logic. His 1912 book, Formal Logic, was a landmark in this regard, arguing that abstract, disembodied logic failed to account for the actual process of human thought, which is inherently driven by interests, purposes, and the practical context of problem solving. He saw formal logic as a word game that had become detached from its empirical and psychological roots. This culminated in his later work, Logic for Use, published in 1929, which presented a more practical and psychologically informed logic, emphasizing how thought arises and functions within the context of human endeavors to overcome problems. For Schiller, the truth of a proposition was ultimately tied to its usefulness in guiding human action and achieving desired outcomes. Beyond his contributions to epistemology and logic, Schiller also ventured into social and ethical discussions, notably in the controversial field of eugenics. He published Tantalus or the Future of Man in 1924, Eugenics and Politics in 1926, and Social Decay and Eugenic Reform in 1932. These works reflected a common intellectual trend of the era, exploring how human knowledge could be applied to improve society, albeit through methods that are now widely condemned. Schiller's standing in the academic world was recognized through various appointments and honors. In 1921, he served as the president of the prestigious Aristotelian Society, a testament to his influence among British philosophers. Further recognition came in 1926 when he was elected a Fellow of the British Academy. Logic for Use 1929 was Schiller's most mature and extensive exposition of his pragmatic theory of logic. Moving beyond mere critique, this book systematically articulated an alternative to formal logic, proposing a logic for use that prioritized the instrumental role of thought in solving problems and achieving human ends. He argued that logical principles are not fixed, immutable laws but rather adaptable tools that derive their validity from their practical utility in guiding inquiry and action. This work solidified his position as a pioneer of instrumentalist logic, emphasizing that the truth of an idea is inextricably linked to its effectiveness in practice. A significant change in his later life involved his connection to the United States. From 1929 onwards, he began a dual academic role, serving as a visiting professor at the University of Southern California. This arrangement saw him divide his year between his long-standing position at Corpus Christi College, Oxford, where he had been a fellow and tutor for over 3 decades, and his new role in America. This bicontinental life continued until 1935, when he made the permanent move to the United States. He passed away in Los Angeles in August 1937, after an extended illness, bringing to an end a career marked by relentless intellectual engagement and a passionate advocacy for the human dimension in all philosophical inquiry. Even after his passing, his ideas, particularly his critiques of absolute idealism and formal logic, continued to resonate within the broader pragmatic movement. The impossibility of answering truly the question whether the 100th or 10,000th decimal in the evaluation of pi is or is not a 9, splendidly illustrates how impossible it is to predicate truth in abstraction from actual knowing and actual purpose. For the question cannot be answered until the decimal is calculated. Until then no one knows what it is, or rather will turn out to be. And no one will calculate it, until it serves some purpose to do so, and someone therefore interests himself in the calculation. And so until then the truth remains uncertain, there is no true answer, because there is no actual context in which the question has really been raised. We have merely a number of conflicting possibilities, not even claims to truth, and there is no decision. Yet a decision is possible if an experiment is performed. But his experiment presupposes a desire to know. It will only be made if the point becomes one which it is practically important to decide. Normally, no doubt, it does not become such, because for the actual purposes of the sciences it makes no difference whether we suppose the figure to be 9 or something else. I.e., the truth to, say, the 99th decimal, is true enough for our purposes, and the 100th is a matter of indifference. But let that indifference cease, and the question become important, and the truth will at once become useful. Professor Taylor's illustration therefore conclusively proves that in an actual context and as an actual question there is no true answer to be gotten till the truth has become useful. This point is illustrated also by the context Professor Taylor has himself suggested. For he has made the question about the 100th decimal important by making the refutation of the whole pragmatist theory of knowledge depend on it. And what nobler use could the 100th decimal have in his eyes if in consequence of this interest he will set himself to work it out, he will discover this once useless, but now most useful, truth, and triumphantly refute his own contention. F.C.S. Schiller. Further reading. Pragmatic Humanism of F.C.S. Schiller by Ruben Abel 1955. Humanistic Pragmatism, The Philosophy of F.C.S. Schiller edited by Ruben Abel 1966. The Pragmatic Humanism of F.C.S. Schiller in Cornelis de Waals on Pragmatism 2005. F.C.S. Schiller on Pragmatism and Humanism Selected Writings, 1891-1939 edited by John R. Shook, Hugh MacDonald 2008.
Mics on the floor where they drop like bombs. Faceless voices running all the cons. Digital whispers in a binary night. No light, no face, pure sound, no sight. Stories unfold in the dark unscrolled. Echoes of silence, secrets untold. Waves crash loud in this audio cave. No mic, no frame, just the sound we crave. Tune in, turn up, let the silence break. Raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just the vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. Hidden in shadows, voices untamed. No need for spotlight, no claim to fame. Just the beat of life in a stream of thought. Every word a punchline, no need to be taught. Just listen close, no visuals needed. Raw conversation, unprocessed, unseated. Feel the pulse in every sentence said. No distractions, just thoughts in your head. Whispers of the streets, rumbling through. Faceless yet vivid, a world in view. No mic, just souls, connecting in flow. Pure and raw, let the rhythm go. Pure and raw. Pure and raw. Silence break, raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just the vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. Tune in, turn up, let the silence break. Raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just the vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. Pure and raw. Play.